Alright, this is the video about male and female version of yoga that I spoke about in the other video, especially referring to Kashtanga of Mysuru. Now, if you're wondering why I call it Kashtanga, please watch the other video and you will get an idea. Now, if you're also wondering about whether there is a female version of yoga, yes, it is not exactly a version, but whatever is taught to male or men cannot be taught to women, or whatever is taught to women cannot be taught to men. Instead of saying cannot, I should use the word should not, because there are different needs to both the bodies and different ways have to be adopted in order to train someone. Now, to explain this to you clearly, you'll have to come with me. It's going to be a little bit longer. I'll have to give you such concepts in order to set the perspective. Only then you will be able to understand. Most of my connections when it comes to Mysore in terms of yoga are foreigners, non-Indians. So I think it would be watched by them mostly. But I also would like to tell you that our Indian fellows themselves don't know the concept that I'm talking about. It requires many years of work and study of yoga in order to understand exactly what it is and where it's coming from. But people don't spend that much time in understanding all angles of yoga other than understanding the asanas. Most of the people that I have spoken to, I have interviewed, have no idea about what I'm talking. They just thought, no, Patanjali is a man, he has given the yoga for everyone, and that's it. No, it's not so. I'll take you through this one by one. We'll get there. Surya Namaskara is fine because it's a basic involvement of the whole body and sort of a warm-up, so that's fine. But as we progress into deeper parts of yoga, what enhances masculine hormones is not the same thing that you teach to a female, and if you did, it would obviously show wrong results, which you can see plenty over there. Now, if you spent any bit of time understanding mythological scriptures of India, you would understand that both male and female, when they depict God's pictures, whatever Shiva, Parvati, or Krishna, Radha, or Brahma, Saraswati, it's always paired. Do you see that? God doesn't exactly appear in human form, like they say in the Vedas, Nirakara, Nirguna, which means formless, characterless. That is what godliness is. But in order to communicate to humans, it's all depicted in the picture. And that's a depiction, artist depiction of a male energy and female energy. Let's say tomorrow that thing comes, what was the movie? The End of the World or something like that. Due to the news of that, I think it was back in 2012 or something, a lot of people committed suicide, I heard, because they thought the world is going to come to the end or something. It is not really untrue, though. If you read scientific articles, you will know that there are at least two previous civilizations that have been found that have extincted. So any time that can repeat and we can go like that, that's possible. I'm not denying that fact. But if that happens, how would you leave anything that you've seen, you've experienced to the other generation, whether the other generation comes or not, your other civilization? How would you leave it? Where will you store it? In which data center? In which book? Because when the world ends, all the books end. Data centers will go. All the parts and particles, the mobile phone in your hand, everything goes away, right? What remains then? How would you record these words, this knowledge? Think about it for a second. This is very much related if you want to understand the male and female version of yoga. The only way you can pass it on or leave the record somewhere is by inscription. And what do you inscribe this on? What is that that lives on? And that is a rock, stone, which is why you see on pillars and rocks and the stones, all these inscriptions, sculpture everywhere in Indian temples, thousands of years of old things. You might be surprised. There's this guy I like quite so much called Preim Mohan. He has a YouTube channel where he goes to these very ancient temples and tries to dissect this information and tries to decrypt the hidden message. Some of his videos talk about latest technology that existed back then and about the sonography, where a doctor is trying to understand what is a woman carrying in her womb, whether it's a male or a female baby. Stuff like this, it's fascinating. I invite you to please check it out. So that's how the knowledge was passed. Whatever was left in that. The reason I'm mentioning is that in Hindu practices, although I don't subscribe to any religion, I was born in a Hindu family, but I personally don't subscribe to any religion as such. But I'm respectful towards whatever is wisdom, whatever is knowledge, and the best practices in the world. And when it comes to Hindu practices, how do I know or the other people know this fact? The fact that Purana, the magnum opus, the stories that they talk about existed before, like about Rama or Krishna or about the greatest war that happened in India called Mahabharata or Ramayana. How do we know? It's because it was passed on. No, there was no print media, there was no video like this at the time. But how did they pass? They just passed by inscribing on stones and from Smriti. And that is encrypted in Sanskrit verses, which is what mantra, vachana, and all the other things that you hear about. Now, the reason I told you about all of this is that we have to understand it's a balanced world. Anything that gods want to give you or we want to give to the next generation has to be a mixed response. You cannot write something as the authoritative figure or the ultimate figure, being a man or being a woman alone. It's not possible. You can perhaps write like, I am a man, I can talk about male body, male experience, masculine energy. That I can, because that's what I have experienced, that's what I've got, right? What do I know about female, feminine energy, a female body, that has a capacity of giving birth to another human that we don't have? What can I possibly talk about it? Whatever we have figured out is the medical part of it. That's fine. But the experience of being a woman, what can I talk about it? This is why when Shiva gives advice to the world, to his assistants, the other angels, and the rest of the world, he does not only give advice on his own, but he takes inputs from Devi. Devi is the way we call female. Swami is the way they call men. So he takes, in this case, Devi is Parvati. And she has a lot to say. There are temples of Parvati and there is a whole lot of scripture from Parvati. If you get time, go through all that. What I'm trying to say here, my friends, is that inputs are taken, experiences are drawn from either sides, male and female, yin and yang. You have to. Otherwise, it's not complete. And Ashtanga was invented by who? Invention is not a word actually speaking. It's just the rearrangement of a style. Like I have Shunya Yoga. Many of you have your own style of yoga, which is fine. But I cannot say I invented this, There's nothing of an invention. Whatever needed to be invented didn't happen 5,000 years ago at the Patanjali time. And everything has been said in that. In the previous video, I also mentioned that if you look at the picture of these sages back then, if you made them stand in one line next to each other, right from Patanjali to Sushrusha, Vatsyayana, Charaka, Kanada, there are many, many sages. You will be surprised, they look the same, all of them. Beard and long hair and one piece of saffron cloth. And that's about it. You will be confused. You cannot recognize who's who unless you get into the details of their facial structure. Only then you can say this is this and this is that. What I'm trying to say here is they look like gym bodies. That's a yoga body. And there are scientists in them and there are mathematicians in them. They have spoken about physics. They have spoken about medical science. You will be so surprised, my friends, that this is why I love this, Indian history, Indian culture. This land offers you so much knowledge. I have goosebumps right now as I'm talking. This is unbelievable. Land of wisdom. Because people have passed so many things that they have experienced as humans in their lifetime. And all such people who were scientists, who were experts in different fields, who calculated the distance between the sun and the moon and the earth. But dig that theory a little bit, 108, and you will know. They were all sages. They dressed the same. They attained samadhi. You understand what I'm saying? They're just not some lab rats or someone with a chalkboard or some marker on board and some PowerPoint presentations. No. This is how deep yoga goes. Okay? Now, whatever style of yoga, like for example, Shunya Yoga that I have designed, it's more to do with uh, breathing and meditation than asana. But then again, I have taken some help from female friends that I have, some more help I need, and I'm still working on that. When it comes to dhyana, for example, masculine powers are integrated, and the way meditation can happen to them is very different from the way meditation can happen to women, female energy. Female energy in this case experiences meditation through love, through expression. Male energy is not like that. Like sitting like Buddha still at one place and focusing and watching your thoughts and attaining samadhi is not exactly the same way that works on women. Dig this philosophy a little bit. You'll see many great gurus have spoken about it. I'm nothing in front of that. But whatever I have derived, I was once a monk for a few months because I come from Bangalore, this, busy computer city, a very mechanical life. I was almost dead inside and I wanted to find out the meaning and the worth of this life, living this, monotonous life. And I went my way all around India and I ended up in some ashram in Nepal. And I took that challenge and, went through monkhood to whatever period I could. It was a great experience. And that's the time I went into these great scriptures like Gita, Dhammapada, Vedas, as much as I could. From that experience, I tell you, my friends, it's not that easy, okay? So tomorrow, if you become a teacher and try to teach anything to men and women alike, then please be careful. It doesn't work like that, For example, you see these kashtangis here, women who come like women, and then they boost so much of masculine hormones in them, and they become masculine, their voice changes, their body shape changes, and these biceps and triceps. Oh my God! Now here again, the feminists and female freedom fighters. Please take a chill pill here. I am my mom's son more than my dad's son. I loved her, and in her memory, I am starting an NGO, and I am all for women's rights. Okay, but that said, I want to tell you, a flower is a flower, and that's the beauty of the flower. A flower never fights with a leaf and says, hey, if you can do that, I can do it. You can, but do you have to? It's very natural for us to go to a bar and then hang on to it like a chimp and do all those things. And a woman follows that blindly, What do I say? You can, but should you? Also, I'll give you another example. There's this dance called Bharatanatyam. They say that it was invented by Bharata Muni. I tried that dance a little bit. It's a beautiful dance. I love it. I can do some of it. But to retain that masculine energy in me is a challenge there. You see all these gurus, Bharatanatyam gurus who are men, most of them act like a woman. I don't understand why. It was invented by a man, a sage again. Muni is sage, monk, But when I look at these teachers, they've become completely like a woman, the walking, the talking, and all the characteristics of their body. I'm like, why? Shiva does Tandava. Shiva has, Nataraja is the dancer form of Shiva. He doesn't act like Parvati, he doesn't look like a woman, but these people do, because they've also lost that essence of being a male. So much of knowledge in India has been lost, and whoever got hold of it, he tried his own version, put some masala into it, and then starts selling. This is why results are not coming right. These dancers have forced the female hormones more and more, which is why they act like that. Now, I shouldn't be mentioning this, but I've seen a couple of instances where their relationship with the wives are not okay. For obvious reasons you can understand, whatever that is. My whole point of this video is that male, female have to come together. Whatever needs to be created, this entire world is created like that. Masculine and feminine energies. Both have to contribute to whatever that needs to be created. Even you are born, I am born because of a male and female. A female and a female cannot give birth. A male and a male cannot give birth. The other relationship part is different, they're okay. But when it comes to the science, it doesn't work like that. The same goes to yoga, okay? Your guru needs to know. And if your guru is a male, he can talk more about male, maybe 75% of male, and he can talk about 25% of the female energies as derived, okay? Please remember this, as borrowed, because it's not in our experience to experience that. And if your guru is a woman, she can talk, again, 75% of female energies and probably 25% of male energies as borrowed. I would say she can talk a little bit more because she gives birth, and probably. But then again, this world is equal, it's balanced. And disrespecting this balance and going about one side of it as an authority is pretty audacious, I would say.